today we're going to discuss cross-link reports. And the fact of the matter is that you have quite a lot of avenues available to you when you want to run reports about your business with CrossLink. To start off, there are reports that you can run in the CrossLink 1040 software. These are pretty straightforward. They're available to you in the reports menu of the program, and they only require a few clicks to run. Very easy. But in addition to that, you also have the management dashboard tool available to you on the work in progress summary of CrossLink 1040. That's like the main page. As soon as you log into the software, you have a management dashboard tool there that we'll take a look at. You could also use the extended lookup tool to create unique and customized reports in the software. We'll be sure to take a look at that today as well. There are as well some often forgotten about reports available through the program's utility menu through system exports. And something else to consider is the quick report section in CrossLink 1040, and especially how it functions in conjunction with our TextLink feature. We'll see how these two things work together to send mass text messages to your customers right through the program itself. Now, outside of the program, outside of CrossLink 1040, you also have a large number of reports available to you when you log into your account on crosslinktax.com. And as a matter of fact, when it comes to the total amount of reports that you have available to you, when you take what you have in CrossLink 1040 and add the reports that are available online, it equates to like 84 different reports that you can run about your tax office or tax offices in the case of those multi-office owners. And that's not counting all the reports that you can create with extended lookup. I'm not counting a few other areas in the program that I really didn't want to get into today. And I'm not counting the CrossLink app that you can download to your smartphone and run reports about your business there as well. So those are a lot of reports that we have available. But in order to maximize the time that we have slotted for this webinar, what I'd like to do is focus on 8 essential reports for your tax business. These are what you can consider to be the most useful and frequently run reports for our CrossLink 1040 users. And here they are on screen. Now, to highlight the importance of each of these reports, what I'd like to do is I'd like to take a look at this same list that we have here. But now the reports are going to be organized by when you might want to run these throughout the tax season. For example, before tax season officially begins, there are reports that you can run, especially with the prior year software, if you're coming from CrossLink from last year. These are reports like the mailing labels by site, in order to create mailing labels to your customers, to invite them back into your office. There's the ERO enrollment report, very useful for multi-office owners to make sure all your offices are enrolled with the bank to provide bank products. During tax season, we have the IRS and state acknowledgement reports, the Checks Ready report with tech support. We'll see how that works together in order to send text messages for those customers that have a check ready. That's very convenient. There's the list of non-returning clients report. And after tax season, we have the client referral summary, the EFIN year-to-year summary, and the pass-through balance report. And these reports, they run the gamut as to where they're located as well. For example, the ones that we see now on screen, these are the reports available in the reports menu in CrossLink 1040. But then there are some reports that are available only on crosslinktax.com. Those are the ones that are on screen right now. And then there's that little report found in the utility menu, often forgotten about, but we'll make sure to take a look at that, and I'll show you exactly how to run that report. But for now, we're going to go through each one of these sections one at a time, starting off with the before tax season part. These are reports that you can run right now, especially if you have the prior year software installed. So let's do that right now. I'm going to jump over to my CrossLink program. There we are. We're on the work in progress summary, the main page, so the first screen that you encounter when you log in. And the mailing labels by site report is found underneath this report menu near the top here. And you'll notice that we have this mailing labels section. And here you can create mailing labels depending on the type of situation for that taxpayer. For example, If you had a reject list, all the customers that are currently in reject status, in that case you can use the mailing labels rejects to create mailing labels specifically for those types of customers. There's also the self-prepared for those returns that are marked as self-prepared returns, paper-filed returns, and returns that are currently in queue. In other words, waiting to be transmitted, waiting to be e-filed to the IRS or state. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a list, or I'm going to create mailing labels for all my customers that I have in my program. And to do that, I'm going to click on the mailing labels by site option that we have here. And that opens up the report writer. First thing I can do is I can sort this information, sort my mailing reports by the office EFIN or by the taxpayer's name or zip code, really whatever you want. Office site, by the way, is the site ID that you may have entered during the configuration of the program. This is basically a nickname that you're giving this office, and it can be very useful when you're using our multi-office management to manage multiple offices. You can have a nickname for each one of your offices and be able to quickly determine which office is which. But to make it simple, I'm just going to choose the office EFIN option. And I could enter in a date range if I wanted to when it comes to the creation, when that return was created. But for now, I'm just going to leave that blank because I want to see all my customers. And I'll click on this Quick View button that we have here. And there we are. There's a list of all my customers in this mailing label format. And if I wanted to, I can click on Print right now and print these off. But something to keep in mind, when you're printing mailing labels directly through the software using this print button, the only format for these mailing labels that would work very well is the Avery 5161. So keep that in mind. If you're printing directly from here, you want to make sure to use those Avery 5161 labels. That's kind of like the format name or code for that size of label. It's a 1-inch by 4-inch label. So you're welcome to do that now, to do that through here. Now, in some cases, you may want to modify these labels a bit, maybe change the font, or maybe even use a different type of mailing label format. And that's something you can do. And you would do that using this Export to Word button that we have down here. What will happen is we'll export this list over to Microsoft Word, and then you could reformat that as much as you like. Now, this process is actually a little bit tricky. You kind of have to follow some very specific steps. And that's why I'd like to go through that with you now, just so we can clear all that up and see how it actually works. So, first step is to click on this button, and notice what happens here. I get this error message, and it's telling me to close all instances of Word before running the label maker. That's step one of this little challenge in order to create these mailing labels on Word. And what it's telling me here is that I have to close any open versions of Word that I may have open at the moment. I have to close that down. And I have Word open here, as you can see on my taskbar. So I'm going to close this Word document that I had, and then I'll click on Export to Word again. And now what will happen is Word will open automatically. Move it over, it popped in my other screen. There it is right there. And you'll notice that it's kind of incorrectly formatted. We only have like 2 names at the top of each page. Not very useful when it comes to printing this stuff out. So how do we fix this? To do so, I'm going to click on the Mailings option. And I'm using Microsoft or Windows 2010 here. We're using the ribbon format that now is very popular with Word. I'm going to click on the Mailings option. And then the option that you want to click on the toolbar is this Start Mail Merge. I'll click on this, and then you want to use this step-by-step Mail Merge Wizard. I'll click on that, and there we go. Now we have this wizard here for the mail merge. What type of document are you working on is the first question that it's asking me. And I'm going to choose Labels for this. And then at the very bottom, there's a Next button to continue on to the next step. And then here, this is really where we're going to select what type of format of the mailing label we're using. To do so, I'm going to click on the Label Options option that we have here. And this is really where we can start selecting If you have a particular type of mailing label format that you want to use, Word has a list of a varied list of all the different types of mailing labels that are out there, at least the popular ones, including Avery ones. If I click on U.S. Avery letter, here are all the different types of formats for Avery U.S. letter, including the 5161. There it is right there. Let me show you what that looks like. And I'll click OK here. And now it's telling me that it'll basically replace everything that I've had. That's okay. I'll click OK here. And then I could close this at this point. That's really the only thing I wanted to do. And what do I have here? I have a blank page. Not very useful, right? And here's step 2 of the tricky part. We're going to close this. You don't have to worry about saving this. Just click on close. And then click on this export to Word button. See what happens this time. It's going to reopen here. And that's much better, right? So those were the steps. Of course, you could always, once we post this on YouTube, you could always review these steps again, because I know there are a few steps that you have to follow. But at this point, once you have it at this point to the format you want, then you can, modify the font, modify whatever you'd like to fit your branding, and make the mailing labels look exactly the way you want them to look. So those are mailing labels. Now the next report that I wanted to show you that you can use before tax season is the ERO enrollment report. So I'm going to go back to the program here, close this for now. And the ERO enrollment report is one that you can find on our website. So what I'll do is I'll click on the website tab. These are one of the portal reports. I'm going to log in with my information. And then all the reports that are available online are found underneath this reports tab that we have here. I'm going to click on the administrative reports option. And here it is, the ERO enrollment report. Now this report is especially useful for multi-tax owners because it basically allows you to see all the offices that are underneath you, all the offices that you've enrolled, that you've added to this website, to see what the progress is when it comes to that bank enrollment. And unfortunately, this is one of the problems about having a webinar about reports is that I don't have live information that I can demonstrate to you online. But what I've done is I've kind of recreated what that looks like here. Give me one moment. There we are. When you run that report, it basically looks like this, very similar. It gives you a breakdown of all the EFINs that are underneath you, the parent user ID for those EFINs, the individual user ID for each one of these EFINs, the name of the tax office, last four of the ERO holder, any add-on fees that you've added for those offices, those will display on screen as well, any service bureau fees if you're involved with that, and whether or not that has been sent to the bank. You can see that progress here, what bank that they're applying with, and the status of that bank application, whether or not it's been approved, rejected. So, running this report, I can see right away that when it comes to my offices, I have to take a look at easy as 1, 2, 3. Why haven't they submitted that bank application yet, or why haven't I submitted that bank application yet? And this one here as well, P&W tax. This one, this one was rejected, so I have to fix that. This one has not been submitted, so I have to submit that. So those are the first two reports that you can run prior to tax season even beginning. Now, during tax season, we have the IRS static acknowledgement reports coming up, and that one is available through the software again. So let me go back to the program. I'm going to go back to my 1040 returns tab, and that one is found underneath the reports menu as well, underneath this IRS ACTS option. Here we have the IRS and state acknowledgement reports. That's the one that I'm talking about. And the benefit of this report is that you can see the status of those acknowledgments to find out what's going on. Has the IRS return been acknowledged, and has the state acknowledged that IRS return as well? This is very useful if you want to make sure that nothing has slipped through the cracks, that you haven't, or that a tax preparer hasn't forgotten to submit a state return, which can sometimes happen. You can, transmit the Fed return, but sometimes forget to transmit the state one as well. So this one will make sure that you're not missing anything. And you can enter in a date range, by the way. And so if you want to see specifically those tax returns that you've transmitted this week, you can specify that date range and view only those taxpayers that were submitted on that date or that were acknowledged on that particular date. And I'll group by, let's say, Ethan for this particular example. Click on Quick View, and there they are right there. And in my case, I don't have, one of the things to consider is I don't have much information in my demo program to show you. I only have like 3 returns, right? In your case, you'd be able to see a more expansive list of all the customers. And right away, I can tell that this particular taxpayer here, we have the California that exists in the return, but it's not acknowledged like these other 2. So this might lead me to wonder, why exactly hasn't this return been acknowledged yet? Is it that I haven't submitted the return? Is it just that the California state is taking a bit more time to process it? But that's the real value of this report, being able to determine those statuses and see if there's anything missing for my list of customers. Now, the next report that I wanted to mention was the Check Ready with Tech Support, because we do in the software. If I go to my reports menu, and then go to Status Reports, I have a Checks Ready report that I can run. And if I click on this and take a look, I'll just leave it by sight for this example. Here we are. It looks like I have 3 customers, 3 taxpayers that currently have a check ready and waiting to be printed. And that's good, Something I could do with this list, I have their phone numbers here, so I can contact them if need be, tell them, call them up and tell them that their check is ready and waiting at my tax office to be printed. But that's a bit old-fashioned. What you can do instead is you could send them a quick text through the software to all those customers that have a check ready and to all those customers that you've captured their cell phone information. And that's something you can do in the return itself. As a matter of fact, let me show that to you real quick, just so if you're not aware of that, you can see where to make that modification. So here's a tax return. Here's the client data screen where you enter in all the basic taxpayer and spouse and dependent information. And one of these areas, or actually a few of these areas, have to do with being able to send a text message to this customer. The first thing is a cell phone number. Obviously, you want to enter in what their cell phone number is, where they're going to get that text. Then there's this little box here that says text message. And this box essentially means that the taxpayer is willing to receive a text message from your office. The point of this box is to, when you reach it, you're supposed to ask the taxpayer, hey, is it okay that I send you a text message about your return, about whether or not it's been rejected, or if you want to know when your check is ready through text, I can do that, but is it okay if I send you a text? If they say okay, then you just mark that with an X, and we're good. And then the next one, cell phone carrier. If you click on the Choices button that's near the bottom here, you can see a list of all the carriers you can choose from this list, or you can even begin to type it in. I can just type in AT, and there we are, tab away, and then now we have AT&T in here. And now we're good. So that's where you would capture the information. But now let's see how you can run a report and be able to send a text message to all those customers that have their check ready and waiting. So what I'll do is, and that leads me to talk about the extended lookup tool that I briefly mentioned before. That's how you can create unique reports and use them and for your tax office. To do that, there's only one area that you can go to use this extended lookup tool to create a unique report, and that's in the lookup screen. If I click on lookup here, or select a return, this basically does the same thing. It just takes you to this page where you get to see, your customers listed out. From here, on the toolbar, you'll notice an extended button. If I click on this extended button, it provides me this tool that I can use to create reports. And to make a long story short here, what we're looking at in this top left box, these are all the fields that you can see in the report. So consider these to be kind of like the columns of the tax report, what you want to see when you run this report. And this available search fields box below here, this is where you could limit your search results. If you want to find a particular type of taxpayer, you would select some options here, and that's how it would limit those search results. Okay, so with that said, we're going to do a shortcut, because what we're going to do is we're going to take that Checks Ready report that already exists in the program. That's a report that we have available to you, and we're going to load that up here and just modify it a bit, tweak it a bit. So to do that, I'm going to click on this Reports button at the very bottom here, and it's going to show me a list of all the reports, all the standard reports that come included with the software under that Reports menu. From here, I'm going to click my Check Ready report, and there you go. Now you can kind of see what we're talking about here. For this report, it's going to show me the last name of the taxpayer. It's going to show me their first name, their SSN. These are the fields that are going to be displayed. And then down here, it's telling me that it's going to filter these results. It's only going to show me those customers that have the return status of C. C meaning that the check is ready. That's what that means. But in addition to that, I'm also going to specify that I only want to see those customers that have text message enabled, that have that little X box, or that have a little box marked with an X in the return that we saw a few moments ago. And to do that, I'm going to use this area down here, and I'm looking for, I just happen to know, I'm looking for TP text message. That's the option that we need to activate. And you know, that's, I guess, the most troublesome or tedious part when you're working with creating your unique reports. You kind of have to go through this list and find what exactly you're looking for. So that's a bit troublesome, but you know, if you need help with that, you could always contact our technical support department. And I'm going to add this one here. And now it wants me to know, okay, when it comes to that little text message box, what do you want? Do you want a no, or do you want a yes? I want yes. I want to see all those customers that have those, that has that box marked with an X, and I'm going to click on Add. There we are. It's added it here. I'll click on OK, and now I've modified this report to show me this information and to only show these types of taxpayers. And at this point, I could click OK here to run it and display the information on screen. But first, what I'd like to do is I'm going to save this report so that I can run it later on every once in a while without having to go through this trouble and recreate all this stuff. I'm going to save it. I'm going to call it my Checks Ready with Text, and I'll click OK. Now, I'll click OK just to show the information. You see, before I had 3 checks, or I had 3 people that had a check ready, but for those 3 taxpayers that I had available to me, only 2 of them have text message support. And at this point, I can click on this Send Text button and send them any message I want. Send them, say, hey, your check is ready. Come to the office as soon as it's convenient for you. So that's how you would run that report. But you know, this is something you may be wanting to run on very often, on a weekly basis, or even on a daily basis. And that's why I saved it, so I can run that report on a frequent basis. And to make it even easier for me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add it to my quick report section that we have down here. You should consider this to be kind of like your favorite reports area. I'm going to go to the utility menu. To do so, click on Quick Report List. This is where you can modify this information. And there's my Checks Ready with Text report that I saved. I'm going to double click on that just to move it over here to the right. These are the reports that are going to appear in this section. And then I'll click on OK. And there we are. Now at any point, if I want to run this report, I don't have to go through that extended lookup tool again. I can just click on Checks Ready with Text. There are my 2 customers still, and send them those text messages. All right? So very important. As a matter of fact, whenever you need to send a text message or a mass text message to multiple customers at the same time, the way you would do that is by adding that report that you would add the report to this quick report section, and any report that you run in here would have that send text message button to send those text messages to all the customers that appear in this report at the same time. That's really the benefit. You don't have to contact these customers individually. You can just do it all in one go. Very convenient. Now, the last report that I wanted to mention when it comes to during tax season, something that you may be interested in doing, is this list of non-returning clients report. This is useful if you want to find out who hasn't come into your office yet. If you're halfway through the season and you're curious about those customers that haven't come back since the last year, this is the main purpose of this report. And to run this report, this is the one that's found under the utility menu. I'm going to go to utility, then choose system utilities. We'll see this page with all these buttons pop up. And the button that we want to select is this system export button that we have here. You click on it to highlight it. You see that it's kind of a dark colored now. And now I can click on this run utility button. And here are the list of different exports that I can create, or really reports. These reports, they go right into an Excel format. And the first one that we have here is that list of non-returning clients. So I'll choose that report. And I have to select where exactly this Excel file is going to be saved. So I'm going to click on this button here to the right, and I'm going to specify that I'll be sending this to my desktop, and I'm going to call it my client list. Let's say, oops, client list. There we are. I'll click on Open, and then click on Run. And it does something real quick, and what I can do now is I can go to my desktop. I'll minimize everything here. There's my client list that I just created. Double-click on that. And open on my other screen. I'll move it over here. There we are. And there's that list. Apparently, I'm doing pretty good. I only have 2 customers from last year that have not come into the tax office. And I have their home phone number here. I have their work phone number. I have their email. So I can start calling these people and maybe inviting them back in to see, what's going on. Do they still need their tax returns prepared for this year? Are they just running a bit late? This is all the information you can glean from running this particular type of report. All right. So going back into our PowerPoint here, those are the 3 most popular reports that you could run in tax season. Now, as far as after tax season ends, let's start talking about those. And the first one I'd like to talk about is this client referral summary. This one is very useful. I'm going to go back into the program here. And this one is available through the reports menu as well. And it's part of our client lists. This very last option here, and it's this very last option here, client referral summary. Now, to give you some background information of this, let's open up a tax return, because this is all about finding or figuring out what brought your customers in. At the end of the tax season, you can figure out what exactly worked when it comes to your marketing efforts. What exactly was bringing folks into your tax office? And as part of that, in the return, on this client data screen still, if we scroll down a bit, here's this client referral section where you can type in, or you can select. I can click on this field and then click on this choices button down below again, and I can select how exactly this customer heard of my tax office, and start tracking that information. This is something that you can all do when it comes to this upcoming tax season. And by the way, these options that you've seen here, these were all modified and entered into the tax software by me. You can enter in your specific marketing efforts, your specific things, by going to the database menu at the very top left. As a matter of fact, when it comes to these choices buttons that you see throughout the software, such as the bank and router name, we have the choices button as well here. Lots of these options that you see when you click on choices can be modified by going through the database menu. In the case of referrals, there's that referral option right here. So I can add as many different ways that a customer may have heard of my business that I want to. And to do so, I'm just going to show you how to do one real quick, just in case you wanted to start building this list. The first thing you want to do is you want to enter a sequence number. And this doesn't really matter. It just wants to know, it wants to give this referral option a 3-digit code. So I've been using like 001, 002, but it really doesn't matter what 3 numbers you use as long as they don't repeat. And then once you enter in the number, you can click on Add, and this is really the important area. This is where you can enter in the description of what exactly is the referral method. So how about, let's say I started using Twitter to start marketing my campaign or marketing my tax office. I'll click on Save. Now it's added to my list. And now if I go back here to my client referral type and click on Choices, there's that Twitter option that I can start using at this point. Okay, so with that background information in place, let's go back to the report, right? Let's close this for now. And let's go back to this report, client list, client referral summary. And here we can sort some stuff as well. I'm going to just choose to group them all by the referral type. And then click on Quick View. And now we can see what exactly brought my customers in. Looks like my coupon campaign, those brought a couple of customers in. Okay. Facebook seems to be working pretty good. Flyer, pretty old-fashioned, still bringing customers in. And this is really when you start maybe seeing the importance of this. It looks like, in my case, I probably spent a couple of grand creating a radio advertisement. And if I take a look at this and run some reports and see that it only brought in a couple of customers, that can help me understand that maybe either my radio advertisements were running at the wrong time, or maybe that's just a way to bring customers into my tax office. I could also see, by the way, if it was a referral, you can type in the description of the name that did the referral. Looks like John Lithgow has been killing it, bringing customers or recommending my tax office. So that's something I could acknowledge and possibly give him a discount in the future. And down here, it looks like Yelp has been really the most successful, something that maybe I hadn't considered in the past. And I could start thinking about that and start building that online presence. That's really, the big importance of this report, to start tracking that information and helping you specify your marketing campaigns to have it work for your tax office. But I'll close this for now. And the next report that I wanted to talk about is the EFIN year-to-year summary. Very nice as well. And this one is available through the website. I'm going to go back to the website here using this little website tab. I'm going to go to the Reports tab again, and it's part of your financial reports. Now, right now I'm in tax year 2016. So, as I mentioned, this is a report that you may want to run after the tax season, or actually even during the tax season. I'm just going to go back 1 year so we can see some valid information here. Click on Financial Reports again. And here it is, the EFIN year-to-year summary. And this is all about comparing how you did with bank products this year, this tax season, compared to last year. And just like last time, I'm gonna go back to my PowerPoint here to show you what that looks like. And there it is right there. This is an example of what this EFIN year-to-year summary looks like with the season. The first thing it tells me is the tax season, the EFIN of the particular tax office, how many returns were e-filed, how many of those tax returns were refund transfers or bank products, essentially. What my prior year looked like when it comes to the e-files, and what my prior year bank product volume was like for each one of these EFINs. And you could also even click, there's a view chart link that appears to the right of these reports, and it'll look like something like this. Kind of gives you a visual of what the tax year looks like. So again, if you want to figure out how you're doing, and I guess this is, like I said, this is one that you can run during the tax season if you wanted to, or at the end if you just wanted to find out what exactly went on when it comes to your bank product volume. This is a great report for that. And the final report that I wanted to mention is also available on that financial reports area. It is the pass-through balance report. And this report is useful if you want to find out how those add-on fees are going. If you signed up to provide bank products and to have add-on fees for those bank product returns, you can figure out what exactly is the tally of those add-on fees so far and anticipate what that check is going to be. When you get that check back for the accumulation of all those add-on fees for the year, you'll know what exactly is owed to you prior to receiving that check. And if you wanted to take a look at what that looks like, here it is right here. Starts you off with the fee, with the administrative fee for those add-on services. But then after that, you can take a look at your running balance for all of those add-on fees, any pass-through payments made, in other words, any checks that we've submitted to you for that amount. You can take a look at that and the accumulation of everything down below. So again, if you're curious about those add-on fees, what you're looking at throughout the tax season or at the very end of the tax season to figure out what you're going to get back as an add-on fee refund check, that's what all of this is all about. So to recap, these are all the reports again that you're welcome to use before, during, and after the tax season. When it comes to the before tax season reports, there's the mailing labels by site. To create those mailing labels, remember that the Avery 5161, the 1" by 4" one, is the one that you can print directly through the software, but you can export this to Word for additional formats. There is the ERO enrollment report that's available online to track the bank enrollment status of your offices, especially useful for those multi-office owners. During tax season, the IRS Estate Acknowledgement Report to check on the current and federal and state acts, find out what's going on to make sure that nothing has slipped through the cracks. The Checks Ready with TextLink, very nice. This is a unique report that you want to create with the extended lookup tool. Just make sure to add that TP text message search field and save it to your quick reports if you want it for easy access. And then there's that list of non-returning clients. If you want to answer that question about who hasn't come back yet, who hasn't returned to my office, that one is what that is all about. We have the client referral summary to figure out what's bringing my customers in, to specify those marketing campaigns and figure out what exactly is going to work and bring more customers in, hopefully, for the next tax season. The EFIN year-to-year summary to compare that current bank product volume with last season. And finally, the pass-through balance to check on the add-on fee balances and figure out what's owed you, what we're going to send you as a add-on fee check.